From his Central Texas Command Center, deep behind enemy lines, the information war continues. It's Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
We're going to be talking to an individual who for more than 50 years, it's coming up on 50 plus, has been fighting the New World Order. We've been having icons on the show, like G. Edward Griffin and many others, but I really can't think of anybody when it comes to really delving deeply into the New World Order and exposing so many dark secrets that we now just take as commonplace knowledge. So much of it was pioneered and rediscovered because it was all there in the ancient documents and text by Jordan Maxwell. Now, we can argue about our interpretation of what Jordan says, but I agree with the info he brings out. I may even disagree with some of his interpretations on certain things. It's very complex and nuanced, but regardless, we should all have debates about these subjects. He gets into astrotheology, sexual symbolism and world religions, foundations of modern-day religion, secret societies and toxic religion, world mysteries, ancient, modern, ancient symbols and occult emblems, ancient sciences and technologies, hidden Bible teachings and mysteries, the sun and the history of politics and religion, the story your church doesn't want you to know, secret societies and their influence on world events. And we may even hold him over a little bit into overdrive today, but I wanted to properly introduce him. Jordan doesn't like to talk about himself, but he does have cancer. He is not doing well financially. I've heard him on a lot of shows over the years. He never seems to plug his great books and videos. Go to his website, jordanmaxwell.com, and buy some of the books and videos and support the guy. And it'll open up your mind and it'll help you, wake up to other issues. Support Jordan Maxwell because he's had 50-plus years of fighting the New World Order, and we need to support this gentleman today. So jordanmaxwell.com. Jordan Maxwell, thank you for coming on with us.
Well, thank you, Alex, for having me on. I can't tell you how much I appreciate your support and the things you've said, and I thank you for it. Well, and yeah, it's true that I was interested in these subjects as far back as when I was a teenager and even earlier. When I was a kid, I used to ask my parents and ask the adults around me questions, and they just will look at me with glassy eyes, and they had no idea in the world what I was talking about, and consequently, I just never understood why people weren't interested in the things that I was, And so at 18 years old, I moved to California, and by myself, ended up in Los Angeles with $9 in my pocket, no family, no friends here, nobody. I had no idea in the world, what I was going to do with my life, but I ended up in L.A. with $9 in my pocket in downtown L.A. And somehow or another, I lived through all of it, but I was fascinated with how much people don't know and how much people don't care to know. And I hear people today say, why doesn't the government tell us the truth, and why doesn't these educational institutes really tell us the truth? I think it's because the Illuminati, know that we, generally speaking, don't want the truth. We don't want to hear the truth.
Oh, I've had Jordan elitists come up to me, high-level members of government and others, and say, Alex, and they always say, this is off record, right? And I'm a journalist, so it has to be off record. And they say, look, the slaves don't want to know. You're basically one of us. You want to be enlightened. You can't help them. You might as well just take care of yourself.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I have to say that is pretty much true. And then I also want to ask the question, how important is it to tell the people the real truth? Like the movie with, when the military guy was asked by the kid, well, what do you want? And he said, I want to know the truth. And he said, you can't handle the truth. How important is it to tell people the real truth? Because what you're doing, and I've learned this the hard way, what you're doing is you're putting your life on the line for people who will be entertained for a while hearing you, but they will go on with their regular lives as they always have, watching basketball and doing what they normally do, and life will go on. Of course, you had the big mouth and was telling people something that they weren't supposed to know, so you end up in trouble, maybe even end up dead or in prison. The Internal Revenue finds a bad comma on your tax records, and now you can go to prison, and that way they'll shut you up. And all because you were trying to help your fellow man who, while you're sitting in prison, they're out at the kids' baseball game because they were just entertained by
Jordan, I think what you're saying is people don't need to take this for granted. They need to appreciate your work, my work, so many others, because it's dangerous and it's valuable. So
you got that right. Boy, that's exactly right.
So the question is, are we casting pearls before swine? We've got a break, Jordan, a quick break. We'll come back. You've got the floor. But I'm going to do this interview a little bit different than other interviews because you don't like talking about yourself. I want to make you talk about your history, your awakening, because I found talking about people's awakenings tends to wake others up. Your journey, and then I want to get into the basics of the New World Order, their greatest secrets, kind of Jordan Maxwell's greatest hits, because I want to understand your life, your awakening, and then where you see the New World Order going, and we'll take calls. Jordan Maxwell is our guest. He isn't feeling well today. He'll be with us for the next hour and 40 minutes, maybe longer. We'll see. Stay with us. Jordan Maxwell, Anthony Hilder, David Ray Griffin. I guess you could talk about people like Red Beckman, Law That Never Was. People fighting the New World Order. Different genres, but all going in the same direction, trying to wake the sheep up. He's a real icon. We appreciate having him on. Just a network note, we're going to continue and skip this break for Infowars.com listeners and PrisonPlanet.tv viewers coming up. So our next main break will be at 50 after. Jordan Maxwell, let's start off with, you get there with, less than $20 in your pocket in L.A. when you're 13 years old. Go through your life, your awakening process, some of the people you ran into over the years, and what that awakening was like.
Well, yeah, I was 18 when I came to Los Angeles, and I had no idea why. I just felt I had to go somewhere. Originally, I'm from the South. I'm from Florida, and I ended up in Los Angeles back in '59. And I had no idea why I was here or what I was going to do with my life, but I just was drawn to the fact that I wanted to know. And so many people today just don't want to know. And so that's what drove me. And I've done what I have done with nothing for so many years because I have always appreciated the people who made themselves available for me by doing tapes and records and lectures and teachers who I could go to learn the things that my heart was burning to know. And I would attend all the lectures I could, read everything I could get my hands on because I wanted to know, and I really appreciated those people many years ago that were there out on the front lines like you are today, making the information available so that I could learn. And so that's what I wanted to do with my life at 19 years old, is to gather up as much information as possible and and make it available to all that wanted to hear. And so I was very idealistic about that. But I discovered something. I'll tell you a big secret that I discovered. It took me many years to figure it out. But people will always support what they want to hear. They will not support what they don't want to hear. And if you like country music, you're not going to pay money for an opera. If you like classical music, you're not going to pay money to go to an acid rock concert. So people will always support what they want to hear. And so I always assumed as a young person that people were like me. They wanted to know the truth. And so I later on discovered that, no, most of the time people do not want to know the truth. They will look at something, see that it's wrong, and then prefer to, as Churchill said, every now and then you'll stumble on the truth, but then you'll pick yourself up, brush yourself off, and go on, act like you never saw it, and just go on and live your life and go to the ball game and have a good time. And one day, what comes around goes around. One day, what you should have looked at, you should have been concerned about, well, when it comes to you finally, and you finally have to see what you could have seen years ago, but you didn't want to. Well, that's what I wanted to do, is to make this kind of information that I was interested in available to everyone. And you mentioned John Birch Society. As far back as I think they were founded in 1959 in Belmont, Massachusetts. Well, I used to send research articles to Belmont back in 1961, 62, and 63 to the Birch Society as it was just getting going. I was doing a lot of research on my own on fascism, Nazism, communism, all of the different movements of the bankers, etc. And so I was just sending in articles, and sometimes I'd see some of my work being incorporated into their literature. And then I began to connect with all kinds of researchers and writers. And the more I learned, the more I realized how much I don't know.